Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is Thursday, April 10th. This is episode 186. I'm Matt Roy, along with Chuck McGinnick. Chuck, what's going on? One day before your long-awaited vacation here after a long week last week.
Yes. So, looking forward to it.
You have the vacation goggles on. You're like coming in. You're like, all right, how can I get this show done?
Not quite, man. I run the race. I go through the finish line, and then I'll start the vacation line. Nope, gonna finish strong here at the end.
Very nice. You're going strong now. Still, I mean, I'm surprised you're still awake. Today was one of those days where I woke up. You ever have where like you're sleeping so hard that you wake up and you're just like don't know what day it is or what time it is?
Speaking of not knowing what day it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yesterday.
That was me yesterday. Hey, dude, are we doing this podcast or not? Like, yeah, we're doing it on the normal day that we do it, Thursday. Oh, heck, that's right. It's only Wednesday. To be determined. Perhaps a long road trip to the Carolinas.
Oh, you love
see a series of rock concerts.
You love a road trip.
Hey, if you go by Georgia, there's a golf game going on.
Shut up.
That's from what I understand as well.
Yeah, Bob, before we came on, so he's going to answer one of these questions I have about the Masters, which started today, which was he didn't know where the Masters was played, which is just like a sin against all humanity.
They should move it around. It shouldn't just be in one place. I don't think it's fair. I mean, like, if it's a Super Bowl, like you say it is, where they want to have the Super Bowl in the same stadium every year, that would suck.
Well, no, the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open moves around. The Masters is the only one that doesn't move. Well, that's what makes it special. It's always played at Augusta, Georgia.
It's like playing
Augusta
the Super
National.
Bowl.
Wasn't it that racist place?
It was racist a long time ago.
Not anymore.
None. I mean, once Tiger wins a few and everyone else wins a few, they become less racist.
Yeah, it's like having the Super Bowl at Lambeau Field every year, which is, by the way, what they should do, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's snowing.
So be it. That's football weather.
That's not going to happen.
No problem with that.
Anyway, we'll talk all about that. But subscribe to the YouTube channel, both News 4 Fox to say. If you're so inclined, download review the podcast. Helps us out a lot. We're going to talk a lot about the Masters today because it is one of my favorite sporting events of the year and one of the best sporting events on the sports calendar. If you're anyone besides Bob Gambert, we'll ask what our favorite traditions are in sports and we'll go over our favorite Masters foods and what we would do with $20 because the cost efficiency at the Masters reigns supreme when you have an egg salad sandwich for $1.50 still and beers that cost less than $7 or $8, which is great.
Wow.
Exactly. See, you should pay attention to golf.
Fenway Park prices. Fenway Park does a nice job of holding the stuff down, too.
I still got to get out there. So we'll talk all about that. Plus, the Spurs pulled off a stunning win last night. 17.5-point underdogs. They win at the buzzer last night as Harrison Barnes makes his return to the Bay. Not exactly in the Kings uniform, obviously, but he played with the Warriors for 6 years before that. So, plus, Keldon Johnson culminates what was probably one of the best reserve seasons in the history of basketball, but definitely one of the best reserve seasons for a Spurs player, as he had a huge career milestone last night. So we'll talk about Keldon Johnson as well today, but I want to start with the Masters. So Masters began today. I will read off the leaderboard. Tyrrell Hatton is at 4 under. Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, Justin Rose all at 3 under, and then a bunch of guys at 2 under or less. But of course, is playing pretty difficult today under the conditions. So it's one of my favorite sporting events of the year, especially to watch on TV. Usually I'm not a huge golf on TV guy, but for the Masters, I turned it on this morning at 8. I was watching it on my phone until we started this. I'll be watching it on my phone until I go home today. Don't tell the bosses. But it's just one of my favorite events to watch on TV all year long.
It is. For me, it's so visual, right? It doesn't matter the angle, no matter where the golfer is. It just seems like if you were going to take the Garden of Eden and transport it to a golf course and then put it on TV, this is what you would get. It is really spectacular. And the network that covers the Masters traditionally does a very good job of really visualizing and, kind of painting that picture for the viewer at home. It's stunning.
Yeah, I mean, ESPN broadcasts the first 2 days. CBS does the second 2 days. Jim Nantz was, in my opinion, born to call the Masters. He does the most outstanding job of any broadcaster calling any sport, in my opinion. His hello friends, just his calls, how he brings the viewer to the golf course, even though they're not there. It's just everything about it is top notch. Plus, the Masters is so quirky with all of their rules. There's no running. As soon as you put your chair down, people respect where the chair is. You can't have your cell phone. They have emergency pay phones just in case there's an actual emergency that you need. You're like completely disconnected from the outside world when you're on the Augusta grounds. And then the players, if you ask any golfer, I think most of them, I would venture to guess that 95% of them say it's their favorite event of the year. So it's one of the best things that we have. It's probably my favorite 4-day stretch outside of the first 2 days of the NCAA tournament.
Okay, that's fair.
What about you?
I mean, I like it, and if it's on, I'll watch it. And as I've gotten older, I watch less TV just because I feel like I have less time. But if you're asking my favorite sporting events,
your favorite sporting events to watch on TV all year long.
Oh, well, for sure, Major League Baseball playoffs, any level, and NFL playoffs are hard to beat too, minus the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl has become such a dog and pony show. It's the championship games feel like the Super Bowl to me in a lot of ways. I guess there's still a lot of stuff. I mean, I like watching College World Series games too, and NBA playoff games too for the longest time. I mean, it was when, especially in the West, as good as it was when the Spurs were winning championships. I mean, that was must see TV.
Seems like a lifetime ago.
It does.
To me, the Masters in golf, or the majors in golf, excuse me, have gotten a little bit more special now because you get all the live guys that are going to play now too. So we don't get to see Bryson DeChambeau, and we don't get to see Brooks Koepka, we don't get to see John Rahm, forks up. We don't get to see Tyrrell Hatton and Bubba Watson and Phil Mickelson, and the list goes on and on. We don't get to see all these guys regularly anymore. I mean, unless you tune into Live Golf, which practically nobody does in the U.S. That's not a shot at them. That's literally like their numbers are horrible. But you don't get to see all of the top players in the world compete against each other anymore. And I feel like at the Masters, it's your first chance of the year to get all of the top players battling against one another. Can John Rahm repeat? Can Phil Mickelson capture lightning in a bottle one more time on the back nine of his career? Can Justin Rose do all these things? Can Bryson DeChambeau finally get over that hump? Can Brooks Koepka finally get over the hump at the Masters, even though he has 5 major titles? One of them is not the Masters. So, you get all those storylines when all those guys come together.
That's what it felt like to me too at first. Well, it was great to see everybody kind of back, all the greatest golfers in the world in one place doing their thing. But you're right. I think there's part of it that because the professional golf ranks have become so fractured, it's like, I mean, we hardly seem like even talk about these guys anymore.
Right.
On both sides, quite frankly. I mean, because it just feels like, whatever the LIV is, and then you have the PGA, it just feels like it's, you divided it. And so you're going to get what comes with when you divide something in half.
Yeah. And so it makes everything a little bit better knowing that all the guys are, and I think that's where we're going to get eventually again with golf, is that everyone's going to come together on one tour, and it's going to be a little bit different than the PGA and what the Live have right now. But when you see all these guys compete at the Masters, which is the most beautiful venue in the world, in my opinion, and you see everything so visually on TV, it's chef's kiss. It's beautiful.
I was just reading they pump artificial bird noise into the Masters.
Perhaps, maybe.
They make it gorgeous, all right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about one of the best things about the Masters is that they've never raised the concession price, or they haven't raised the concession prices very much in a long, long time. You still get an egg salad sandwich for $150. You can pop that up, Luis. You can take the super off too. Thank you. Egg salad sandwich for $150. You got a pimento and cheese for $150. All the sandwiches are like $3. Besides that, coffee for $2. Chicken biscuits $3. Like, it's so cost effective.
It's like Costco.
It's better than Costco. But anyway, so I wanted to have some fun. I'm going to give you $15, Chuck McGinnick.
Okay.
Tell me what you would get for $15 at the Masters.
Well, I'm going to get 5 pork barbecue sandwiches for sure, but
5 of them?
My question is,
no drink. You don't need anything.
No
water, no coffee, no beer, nothing.
Good. Really? You get 5? You get 5 of them?
You can get 5 sandwiches for $15.
You would do that?
Yeah. Put one in each back pocket for later. Maybe have one for breakfast. You take out all the breakfast stuff. You got that for the breakfast the next day, possibly. But what in the world is a savory tomato pie? I think I need to know the answer to that question because that could actually play its way onto my
That
team.
could be a pizza.
That's what I'm thinking too, right? But why would you call it a savory tomato pie and not a pizza?
That's a good question. It's just a master's thing, you know.
Bob, can you do your thing?
Yeah,
Work
Bob,
your
look at-
internet skills.
With the savory tomato pie. All right, not knowing what a savory tomato pie is, I would go one egg salad, one pimento and cheese.
Oh, it's
It-
new.
What is it?
I guess it's new this year.
Oh,
Oh, well, there you go.
no
So
wonder we don't know what it
We're
is.
breaking code over here.
All right. While Bob navigates the pop-ups, hold on.
The pie resembles an empanada.
An empanada.
Oh,
Okay.
see, here they are, right here. Like as you can.
Oh, okay.
Oh, in my disorientation, I
looks-
forgot my glasses today, so I can't see crap.
Okay. So
like
is it,
a little handheld pie.
Oh, okay.
All right.
A little tomato pie.
So you're sticking with
yeah, but what are those things called? You know, like when you go to get a pizza, they've got the.
like a hot pocket, like a
Yeah,
chicken bake.
It's like a hot pocket, but bigger
Okay.
and better usually.
I don't
Although I shouldn't disparage hot pockets.
You shouldn't. I love those. I would go with an egg salad and a pimento cheese. 'Cause
Stromboli. That's what it is.
Oh, I love stromboli.
Those are good. That's only $3 right there. That's 2 sandwiches. That could take care of me for a little while.
Or calzone.
Shut up. And then I would probably get 2 beers, both domestic and imported beers.
Please
$6.
drink responsibly.
I mean, that seems pretty good. 2 sandwiches, 2 beers. That's a great price. That could take care of me for a few hours. Well, actually,
yeah.
the 2 beers could take care of me for like an hour, but it would be fun. I think that's a great price.
That would go a long way.
It would go a long way. What about you, Bob?
I'm gonna need it to spend it all on coffee to stay awake.
You still got $1 left over.
Is there anything for a buck? Or maybe one less coffee and I'll get a slice
And
of
what
apple
are
pie.
Southern cheese straws? I can't believe I don't
Can
know
you
what those
call
are either.
up Augusta? See what they're doing.
What is it we're looking for?
Southern
Southern
cheese straws.
cheese straws.
I definitely
I'm
think
not eating plastic no matter what. I'll eat the paper straws, but I'm not eating the plastic straws. I don't care how much cheese is on.
they also have nice cookies for $1.75.
It's just fried cheese.
Caramel corn.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I changed my mind. I would get 1 beer.
So
I would get
cheese
it.
curds.
I would get a pimento cheese sandwich. I would get an egg salad sandwich, and then I would have to get some coffee, and then I would get like some chips or something, so we could walk around.
Dude,
walk
egg
around with
salad's
chips.
nasty.
I love
Like,
egg
that's-
salad.
Oh,
Egg salad, chicken salad, any type of salad. Give it to me. Actually, I
chicken
don't
salad's
like
alright.
pasta salad.
oh, that's good. But
Okay. See, you and I.
Egg salad with like orange mustard in it, and you like
Orange.
that?
Dijon?
I mean, yellow mustard. Sorry,
Yeah.
orange.
Yeah, I love egg salad.
Okay,
Mayo sucks.
well,
but
moving right along.
moving. All right. Well, I'm enjoying the Masters. Bob is a hater. We'll-
It's not- I mean, I don't have anything against the Masters in particular. It's
you
just-
just have
I'm not
something
a-
against golf.
Not a big golf fan. I do like the jacket, the green jacket. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is coming from the guy who plays disc golf.
Yes.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever played disc golf?
No, I play actual golf.
You play ball golf?
I play ball golf.
Yeah.
Shouldn't-
Stick and
you
ball
have to,
golf.
like, you have to pay to play that, don't you?
I was
Don't
thinking-
you have
Yeah.
to-
You know, I was thinking this
Why
week
would you do
though.
that?
Shouldn't they change
Going on
the
Sunday.
name of the green jacket to the green jack since Nicholas has won 6 of these things?
No.
I think they should. I mean, you're gonna have to call him something other than the green jacket. Call it the green jack.
You know what my qualm
No?
with the jacket is that you only get one. No matter how many you win,
Really?
you just put the same jacket on.
do you get like a little pin or
What if you
something?
outgrow the other one?
Yeah, you get so when you win the Masters, you get the money and all that stuff, but you get a gold medal, or you get like a medal for it. You get a replica of the trophy, and then they put your name on the actual trophy, and then you get a green jacket. But you only get a green jacket for your first Masters. Then you get a champion's locker, and you're allowed to have it outside of Augusta for 1 year, and then after that year, so like Scotty Scheffler has to put it back this year. He has to put it back in his locker, and he can only wear it on the grounds after this year.
Huh.
So, and then if he wins again, then they take the same jacket out and they put it on him like last year's champion, and he can wear it around for another year.
Isn't
I
that
hope you
special?
don't put on any weight.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Well, I'm sure they have tailors; they can adjust it. But anyway, that's.
Or you lose
I
a
think
lot, you look like David Byrne. From
I
the
think you
Talking
should
Heads.
get multiple green jackets. I think every
Talking
time you win, you
Heads.
should get a new jacket. But that's just me.
Okay.
Anyway, we've devolved into chaos long enough. Let's get to the Spurs. hopefully Colin. I'm rooting for Colin Morikawa and Rory McIlroy this week.
Have you guys both actually been to Augusta?
I've never been there.
I have never been.
Is it really expensive to just like get
Yes.
there? To get a ticket.
There's actually you can't. There's so many people who want to buy tickets that you actually have to enter a raffle.
Wow.
So you have to enter a raffle, and they pull names of people who are going to buy tickets, and then you get a call or an email or whatever it is, and they're like, "You won the raffle. Now you get a chance to buy a ticket." So if you don't get your name pulled, then you just don't even get a chance to buy a ticket, and there's no resale on the tickets.
So I mean, it's so hard you don't even really want to go? I mean, is it?
No, I would love to go.
You'd love to go, but you don't want to go through all that rigmarole, I guess.
Well, I couldn't afford tickets right now, but yeah, I would definitely.
How much do you think it is a cost to go to?
I don't know. You need to get David Chancellor's been. He knew somebody that.
Oh, did he?
That was able to get him in, and Chase Shannon, same thing. He won the lottery the year that COVID happened, and so they shut it down or they did something. I don't remember what it was going on, but no, he didn't go when they messed up the timing. He had planned to go, and then they shut it all down.
Yeah, because it happens in April, obviously, and so when they shut it down, they had to cancel everything, and then they moved it to November that year. So they moved the Masters, I think, to November. That's when Dustin Johnson won it, and he broke all the scoring records because it was like the easiest conditions that in Masters history. Dustin Johnson broke, I think it was Jordan Spieth's scoring record at like 20 under. So, which never happens.
Yeah, I mean, that just stinks, right? Bad timing. I think Chase, if I remember the story correctly, had been in the lottery system for a number of years, had never won, and then the year that he won, that happened.
Yeah, that sucks.
Totally.
Anyway, let's get to. Hope everyone enjoys Masters weekend. That'll be it's going to be a lot of fun. It's shaping up to be a great tournament.
So, would you rather watch the Masters than like this Final Four?
100%.
Wow.
That's just that's just a me thing. Like I just love the Masters that much.
Yeah, I don't know that I can go that far, especially if you have compelling games and the Final Fours in your own backyard.
But my thing,
more sauce on the goose.
My thing with that is like I'd rather watch 4 days of sports than 2 days. Also, the Masters takes up 9 hours of my day. The Final Four games are 5 hours of my day.
Masters over Super Bowl?
Yes.
Wow.
I would rather watch.
I would do the Masters over the Super Bowl
if there is a compelling, like if it's close on a Sunday afternoon, give me the last 3 hours of the Masters over the Super Bowl any day of the week.
Masters over watching me and my buds play disc golf on Saturday afternoon?
No, can't do that.
I think
I got to see you get your ass kicked. I got to see you throw out an oblique.
I might actually go for the disc golf on that too. In my old age, I'm turning into an old man. The Super Bowl gets on my nerves.
Turning into.
Yes.
I think you've crossed that threshold already, my friend.
I'm pretty sure I have too.
All right. Enough. Let's get to the Spurs. What'd you say? Yeah, you can put the super back up. Thank you. Thank you, Luis. Anyway. So the Spurs won 114-111 last night. Harrison Barnes sunk the game winner as time expired. Huge upset. They were down. I think the line was like 17 and a half going into last night. But huge performances from Steph Castle, who scored 21 and defended Steph Curry all night last night. So he had the toughest assignment. Harrison Barnes had 20, including the game winner. Keldon Johnson went for 21, I believe, and became the all-time leading reserve player in one single season scoring leader in. I'll think about how to phrase this.
You're getting it out.
Yeah,
this is taking you a while to get.
Well,
there,
yeah,
we all
basically
know
the best. Basically the best, highest scoring sixth man season in Spurs history. Essentially, the most points off the bench as a reserve in Spurs history in single season. He has 928 now, past Manu Ginobili's 07-08 season where he had 927.
You said that a lot better than I could have. So well done.
It was just a very convoluted stat, but it is a huge milestone for him in terms of what he's done for the Spurs this season. So Harrison Barnes sank the game winner, as I said. Let's hear from Mitch and Harrison first before we talk about the game.
I'm just really proud of the guys that we just didn't really blink. We just never really let it get too far away from us. Got to 8, got to 10, got to maybe 12, but it was always in striking distance, and we just kind of fought and clawed our way back into it. And that's a very satisfying game to coach those guys.
Yeah, I think, it's always difficult when you've been eliminated from the playoffs and you don't really know what's next. But I think for us, just continuing to build, continue to compete every single night. At the end of the day, if you play for nothing else, you play for pride. And I think that, down the line tonight, everyone's stepping up. The defensive job that everyone did, especially Steph, guarding Steph Curry, who's one of the best, the best in the league. So I thought, to take that challenge as a rookie was highly impressive.
Taking the game last night as a secondary thing, I think that what Harrison Barnes has done for this team this year can't be understated. It's the difference of last year having no adults in the room and this year having an adult in the room.
Yeah, he and Chris Paul, and the fact that these guys play in every game, it's just astonishing what they do. But it's really a treat to watch them both go about their business, right? I mean, we've talked about it before, but here we are in a nothing game at the end of a nothing season that's not going to produce any playoff fruit. And this guy's going out hitting threes, always making the right plays to the best of his ability, plays well with others. You go right down the list. A pro's pro. And it was interesting watching that game last night. They got their rear ends kicked in the first 4 or 5 minutes, and Golden State looked, a step quicker, sharper, moved the ball better. And yet the Spurs just kind of hung in there and gave it right back to them. And then eventually, caught up, took the lead, and then hit the game winner there at the end. But you're right. It can't be understated. And I sure hope both of those guys come back next year, because whatever it is that they are has to resonate in a younger locker room. And if it doesn't, it will over time.
Yeah. I mean, the Spurs are down by 14 at one point. I think that was in the third quarter. And I thought it was over. I mean, the Spurs are what they are right now. They're missing their 2 best players. They're missing their head coach. You don't know exactly what you're going to get every night from them in terms of an effort standpoint, in terms of how well and how cohesive they're going to be on offense and defense. Last night, though, they showed a lot of grit when it comes to the guys that they have on the court and how they're going to play their game. Steph Castle has been a revelation this season. He's going to win the Rookie of the Year. If he doesn't, it'd be one of the biggest upsets of all time at this point. Harrison Barnes has been that guy that is just reliable, that is there every day, putting in as much effort as he can and trying to bring the guys along with him. Same with Chris Paul. The fact that he's played 80 games this year is absolutely asinine. He's 39 years old, playing in all 80 games so far. There's 2 games left. There's no reason that he won't play in the last 2. I mean, it's absolutely insane what Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes have brought to this team. And we said it before the season. They're only at 33 wins now, which isn't what we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. I think all of us thought they were going to be around 41-41, but that's, barring health. But you look at them the last 2 years, 22 wins, 11 win improvement just by adding 2 guys. Even without Wemby for 40 some odd games, even without De'Aaron Fox, with De'Aaron Fox for only 6 games. I mean, I think it was 8, something like that. You just adding those 2 guys got you to 11 more wins, which is exactly what we thought would happen.
And the Spurs, if you look from top to bottom of their roster, they have few guys on the roster that have a positive plus minus this late in the year. Barnes and Paul both do. And Victor, by far, is the team leader in that category. But, I mean, it just goes to show you, what would this season have looked like if those 2 guys, Paul and Harrison Barnes, weren't on this team?
It would have been an absolute nightmare. They would be in like 10-win territory without those guys.
Perhaps.
I mean, it would be, especially without Wemby. If you take Harrison and Chris off this team, who do you have? I mean, you're playing Blake Wesley more. You're playing.
He played pretty well last night.
He played okay last night.
Yeah.
But you're playing those, Branham. You're playing all those guys a lot more, and it's guys that have nowhere near the skins on the wall, to use your expression, that Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes do. They're nowhere near the adults in the room that those guys are that have done this before, have been there, have won games like this, have hit those kinds of shots. It's just what they've done for this young team. And I think what they've done for a guy like Steph Castle, what they've done for a guy like Devin Vassell, what they've done for a guy like Sohan to a little bit of a lesser degree, is going to be felt in the Spurs organization for years to come as these guys continue to progress through their careers.
Yeah, guilt by association, right? The younger guys are taking the best of what Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes are and probably figuring out a way to make some of that their own. Of course, like anything, they're learning what they wouldn't do as well and how they are going to do things on their own going forward. But these old guys have definitely showed the younger guys a thing or two about how you're supposed to play and how to act as a professional and how to go about your business day in and day out.
Yeah, season ends on Sunday. So we'll talk about this a little bit more on Monday as well. Once, all the guys are going to talk, I believe, Sunday and Monday. So I will get into this more then, but you already kind of prefaced it. If Chris Paul's on an expiring contract, he's only signed a 1-year deal, obviously. Harrison Barnes has another year. Would you be in favor of bringing both of those guys back, depending on what they cost?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the Spurs, and basically a lot of other teams are looking at what Chris Paul still can do. And the fact that Chris Paul took a lot less money that I would have assumed he would have been able to get on the open market. Maybe his market wasn't as good as, outsiders like me are thinking, but absolutely I would bring him back. The question then becomes, does a competing team that has a younger team, a Memphis or somebody, think, wow, I wonder if those guys could really help us?
I think there's a lot of much lesser chance that Chris Paul is back as opposed to Harrison Barnes. One, he's not under contract, so obviously they would have to work something out. But I think that Chris Paul creates a little bit of a log jam up there. And it felt like at times this year that they were starting Chris because they told him they were going to start Chris instead of starting Steph at some points. Next year, you have to start Steph every game, obviously. You have to start Devin Vassell every game. You have De'Aaron Fox, who's going to start every game. Are you really going to start Chris and De'Aaron Fox and Steph Castle and Devin Vassell? I don't think you can at that point. So I think it's going to come down to, will Chris accept a lesser role coming off the bench?
I think, I hate to keep going back to plus minus, but if you have amongst the guys that are your biggest negative plus minus guys on the team are Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell. In fact, Devin Vassell has the worst plus minus on the team. So while you're waiting for these guys to kind of figure things out and play to the level of their talent, I don't know that you can afford to get rid of a guy or allow a guy like Chris Paul to walk out the door when, again, if you add it all up, he's on the plus side of that for the season. And he played in all the games. So, whether he's starting or coming off the bench, I don't know. I don't know that, is his ego that big where he couldn't come off the bench or have similar minutes? I mean, I don't know that he's necessarily that guy.
We saw last year, though, with him in Golden State that he was, and he said it himself, it was his most unhappy year playing basketball. And he was the leader of the second team. He was the leader of the second unit. So I just don't know if and his family doesn't live here. His family lives in California, and he wanted to come and play somewhere where he can ball, where he can play. And so if it's between coming off the bench and being away from your family and maybe playing 20 minutes a game, or retiring and being close to your family all the time, or going to another team and playing 30 minutes a game like he's been doing this year, I don't know what his decision is going to be, especially when it comes to the money aspect of it. Harrison Barnes is a little bit easier because, one, he's under contract, so he's going to be here barring a trade or something next year. The only reason he wouldn't be is if he's a salary piece to a trade that happens this offseason. Same with Devin Vassell. The only reason he wouldn't be here is if he's a salary piece to a trade that happens this offseason. I personally would love to see Harrison Barnes back. I think that he's done wonders for the maturity of this team this year. So we'll talk more about that on Monday once the season wraps up. Season wraps up Sunday night. And tomorrow night they play the Suns in Phoenix. So I want to talk about Keldon Johnson before we get out of here. To better read the stat, because I have it written down. Last night, KJ scored 21, putting his season total in points to 928 points off the bench, giving him the most points by any reserve or bench player in Spurs history in a single season, passing Manu Ginobili in 2007-2008, which means obviously Keldon's better than Manu ever was, obviously. So KJ,
you're welcome.
That was obviously a joke for anyone that is listening and not seeing my face. KJ obviously been one of those guys that's been rumored in trade talks all year, piecing together the salaries. Can KJ be moved to kind of bring in a bigger name? I think that what KJ has done this season is pretty remarkable, kind of putting all that stuff aside and once again being unapologetically himself and winning over Spurs fans once again, even just like he's done for the last few years.
He's a baller, I mean, he's got grit. He's tough. He's durable. He really worked hard during the offseason to get himself in a real good position to have a good, strong season. And so I think it's kind of cool that, he does have a little, I don't know what you would call it, a little trophy at the end of the year for having a,
Mhm.
for doing something phenomenal, which is, who thought that anybody could say that they scored more points coming off the bench in a Spurs season than Manu Ginobili ever did. So, it's going to be an interesting offseason in a lot of regards. And, I don't know how it's going to play out. If he comes back, great. I'm sure the Spurs would love to have him, but he might benefit from having a change of scenery and vice versa. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how the Spurs want to build their team going forward and how those ping pong balls bounce.
There was just some things I wanted to learn this season. Who could be on the team long term and contribute long term? And I think I've learned that Keldon Johnson is more than what he gives you on the court. What he gives you off the court, what he gives you in the community, which I mean is
sturdy,
absolutely awesome. The kind of teammate that he is, the hype guy that he is off the bench, he's never going to be the main offensive threat. That's just not who he is anymore. He was a starter. He got moved to the bench. I think he's thriving in that role. Can he be the seventh guy, eighth on a championship team? Hell yeah. I think I've learned that this year, that Keldon Johnson can be and should be an integral part of this team moving forward. And I don't think I could have said that 9 months ago, or however many months the season started ago, 7 months ago. Seems like forever ago.
Probably not for them. It seems like every game's been on the road.
Right. So I would answer the question, has my view changed on him this season? It 100% has. I think I'm more of a KJ fan now than I was at the beginning of this season, which is saying something, because I think I feel different about Jeremy still. I still feel the same I did about Devin, but KJ has kind of won it over.
Yeah. It's hard for me sometimes to separate player from guy, right? The guy is easy to like.
All these guys are easy to like really.
And I really don't know many of these guys very well. So, go to Keldon's summer camps and watch how he interacts and the things that he does in the community. And he's always number one right up front, will do it, loves doing it, wants to, shake as many hands as possible and build as many bridges as possible while he's here in town. And I mean, that should count for more than what it does in today's NBA, but it really resonates with me too.
I felt similarly about Trey Jones. He was obviously had a log jam though at the point guard position. I think at Keldon's position, it's a little bit easier to keep him because he can fill in at the 4, he can fill in at the 3, he can fill in at the 2. Obviously, Trey was a 1. He wasn't going to be anything else except for a 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little bit harder to do that when you have De'Aaron Fox and you have Chris Paul at that point, and you have Steph Castle, who maybe eventually will be your 1. So I get why they got rid of Trey. As far as Keldon goes, I would hope that they would keep him at this point. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk more about that on Monday when the season wraps up. We'll do our kind of whole post-mortem. Spurs obviously will hit the under on their win total, which I believe is 36.5. The most wins they can have this year is 35. But still, even if they do win 35 games, that's a 13-win improvement from last year. So heading in the right direction, even without Wemby playing 35 games and without De'Aaron Fox for most of the season, and without Greg Popovich for almost the entire season. So
yes, much easier to watch this year than it was last year, especially, I think the Spurs as a whole should be really commended, because even after Victor went down, I feel like their intensity level went up. They're doing things differently. They're having to send more guys to get rebounds, but it just seems like with the naked eye, there's more intention to what's going on and guys are playing harder.
Bob, anything on the way out?
Continual watcher / listener, Robert Smith.
What's up, Robert?
He just wanted to say, hey to everybody. And
I thought you said I hate everybody. I was like, damn, Rob.
Hey. He said, hey. He said it was a great game last night. He wish Wemby was there, but still love the growth and grit. And he still thinks we need a backup center.
100%.
Rebounding and blocking.
100%. That's I think one of the priorities in the draft.
You need a big banger.
Yeah, you need somebody in there. Bismack's done a decent job, but he's a little old, and you need somebody a little. But it was nice to see Wemby at the Final Four, though. Sitting with Hakeem the Dream. Hopefully, you can learn some things through osmosis by sitting next to him. So
I thought his hair looked pretty cool.
There was somebody who was there.
The hair looked good.
I think it might have been Minix from SA Sports Star who didn't recognize Wemby at first. I was like, how do you not recognize a 7'3" guy walking by you?
It might. How many 7'3"
Yeah.
guys do I know?
It might not have been Minix. I could be conflating that and just throwing Minix under the bus, but that's okay. He does. I'll do that to him. That's fine. Anyway, that's all we got for you today on the Steve Cleats podcast. Remember, download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back on Monday. I think it'll be either Don and I or Zach and I. Enjoy your vacation, Chuck.
Thank you, Matt. I'll miss you guys a lot.
It's okay. It's okay if you don't. See
I
you on
will,
Monday.
actually.
See you on
You're
Monday.
nice.